Okay, here it is. Time for another from Tom's desk, or I don't know if it's time for another or not. But here's one. Last week I kind of talked a bit about meditation, Buddhist meditation. Another thing uh, that I read a lot about in reading about meditation here in the States is people not having time to meditate or how much they appreciate when they have time to meditate and guides to how to find time when to meditate and all that. And this, once again, is meditation lacking Buddhism. And in my time living in a Wat, in my time in a Wat, in my time with forest monks, one of the main things is, if I have time to breathe, I have time to meditate. Or if I'm breathing, I should be meditating. And that's sort of the point of the whole thing is, sure, there's formal sit down, cross your hands, close your eyes, be aware of the breath, be aware of whatever. Uh, that's there, and that's quite an important part of the day. But ultimately, the idea is to be aware of everything I'm doing. Is sort of my I don't know if goal's the right word or whatever the right word might be, but to when driving down the road, instead of thinking about what I'm going to do when I get where I'm going, what's been going on during the day, this and that, and the other thing, be single-minded towards the traffic I'm in, and the act of driving the car. I see people in grocery stores, and they kind of, I used to think the ties could take up an awful lot of space in the grocery store and be clueless with a shopping trolley. But here in America, and they do it on a much larger scale because they're generally much larger people. And blocking aisles and not looking where you're going and things like that. I sometimes I wonder where, people's minds, are when they're doing things, walking down the street. Uh, Things of that nature, sort of, the light's on, nobody's home. Or, the mind and the body aren't occupying the same piece of real estate. So, and this is my mind in the way, not so much the way I was taught, but once I started meditating, and once, like especially, and there's some great stories, like when Ajahn Chah was at Ajahn Kinnery's Wat, and he was a younger monk back then. I forget how many pansas he had, how many rains retreats he had, but he was sewing his robes because back in the day, Ajahn Chah was always having problems with his robes and keeping them in decent nick. And he's sewing away and sewing away and sewing away, and Ajahn Kinnery and hurrying. Ajahn Kinnery kind of came by and said, "Well, what are you doing?" And Ajahn Chah said, well, I want to get done. I want to get done, doing my robes. And Ajahn Kinnery said, well, what are you going to do when you finish doing your robes? He said, well, I want to go meditate. I want to go meditate. And then Ajahn Kinnery said, well, what are you going to do after you meditate? And then what are you going to do after that? And what are you going to do after that? What are you going to do after that? And it is when you see, is there specific time of day or only part of the day to be totally aware, or I guess you might say into what you're actually doing. And it's not so much, okay, if I'm not doing that, I do wrong, but noticing that moment when, I sort of start to lose the plot and the mind starts to go other places, and watching the mind, because the mind's, it's a bugger, and it doesn't want, it wants to kind of run the show and take you wherever it's going to go. And it used to be called monkey mind, and it's kind of like that. It wants to go swinging from trees and having a great time, and ultimately, it's the source of suffering and discontent. Whereas simply just It's not a big thing, and it's not deep, and it's got but being aware of what you're doing. I don't see the big problem with that. So, my 5 minutes of pissing and moaning, and one thing another this week is sort of, yeah, just you know, as long as I'm breathing, I'm meditating. It seems to work. I don't know. It's kind of up to y'all, but you might give it a try. Anyhow, have a good day. Take it easy. Bye.